Thank you for joining us, and welcome to our third installment of Declaring the End from the Beginning.
In this feature, we will venture through day 3 and accomplish the creation of the earth.
O thou who art the Lord of lords, I testify that thou art the Lord of all creation and the educator of all beings, visible and invisible. I bear witness that thy power hath encompassed the entire universe, and that the host of the earth can never dismay thee, nor can the dominion of all peoples and nations deter thee from executing thy purpose. I confess that thou hast no desire except the regeneration of the whole world, and the establishment of the unity of its peoples, and the salvation of all them that dwell therein. Baha'u'llah.
Day 3 is framed within verses 9 through 13. And God saith, Let the waters accumulate under the heavens unto one accord, and let the dry land appear. And so it was. And God called the dry land earth, and the accumulated waters he called seas. And God seeth that is virtuous. And God saith, Let the earth produce grass, the herb yielding seed, the seed of the tree yielding fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And so it was. So the earth produceth grass, the herb yieldeth seed according to its kind, and the tree yieldeth fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God seeth that is virtuous. And it is the evening, and is the morning of the third day. And on this day, God speaks twice, or rather, he gives 2 commands, in verse 9 and in verse 11. Verse 9, God saith, Let the waters accumulate under the heavens unto one accord, and let the dry land appear. And so it was. The first time God speaks, the waters accumulate, and the dry land appears. Now when the land appears, it appears with varying heights. And this is what this third day adds to the dimensional scheme of creation. The water cycle from day 2 continues to play a role in the scheme of creation, and as more water forms above the firmament, less water remains below. And the land appears through the surface of the waters. In these varying hills and plains, pockets of fresh water form. And this is what we see here.
And I praise and glorify the first sea, which hath branched from the ocean of the divine essence, and the first morn, which hath glowed from the horizon of oneness, and the first sun, which hath risen in the heaven of eternity, and the first fire, which was lit from the lamp of pre-existence in the lantern of singleness, he who was Ahmad in the kingdom of the exalted ones, and Muhammad among the concourse of the near ones, and Mahmud in the realm of the sincere ones, by whichsoever name ye will invoke him. He hath most excellent names in the hearts of those who know, and upon his household and companions be abundant and abiding and eternal peace. Baha'u'llah.
Here's an example of how the waters begin to accumulate. Under the heavens, and the dry land appears, forms lakes and seas, which are fed by rivers and streams, which is runoff from the higher terrain, from the glaciers, from the ice, and from the clouds. Rain from the clouds. The depths of these bodies of water depend upon the landscape over long periods of time, the streams form the landscape, scar the land. And these waters that are under the heavens, they accumulate together. These waters have power and expedience that can be utilized and be harnessed. The water becomes useful. The dry land here is still in a semi-primal condition. To add stability, dexterity, provides an opportunity of productivity. So these qualities of the land and action together with the light and the waters form the model of creation, which is just the spirit, soul, and body of our creation. The first 3 days provide the dimensions of our relative universe, in which the position of an element can be determined, which requires 3 values. And these 3 days form the model in which all known matter exists.
By the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and all the hosts of them by the breath of his mouth. He gathereth the waters of the sea together as a heap. He layeth up the depth in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spake, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. Psalm 33, 6-9.
Come and see the works of God. He is terrible in his doing toward the children of men. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the flood on foot. There did we rejoice in him. He ruleth by his power forever. His eyes behold the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves. Here, though the waters were gathered and are strong, united and capable, they are still under the heavens.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, To let us go build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people are one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
In Babylon, there was an example of the waters gathering in one place and the dry land appearing. And there was a desire to reach heaven, and the Babylonians took the earth and built a tower to reach heaven. Now, certain processes within the spirits, minds, and activities of the people are necessary to build this tower. There must be motivation. There also needs to be plans and supplies. For all this, the spirit, soul, and body of the earth must be active. Here's another look at the water cycle and how the fresh water accumulates from runoff and how the land develops vegetation. The land is given the name the earth, and the accumulated waters are named the seas. But as we can see, what is intended are lakes and ponds. Verse 10 states, "And God called the dry land earth, and the accumulated waters he called seas. And God seeth that as virtuous."
Blessed are ye that sow beside all waters. Isaiah 32:20.
Here are our verses for the Quran, which relate to the third day of creation and introduces the earth and the third type of behavior of the human being.
From amongst humanity is one who saith, I believe in God and in the last day, but they do not really believe, aiming to confound God and those who believe. But they only confound themselves and know it not. In their hearts is a disease, and God has increased their disease, and for them is a harsh penalty for what they hath concocted. When it is said to them, do not spread corruption throughout the earth, they say, we are the righteous ones. They are indeed the nefarious ones, but truly do not comprehend. When it is said to them, believe just as the people hath believed, they say, shall we believe in what the foolish hath believed? They are indeed foolish, but truly do not understand.
When they meet those who believe, they say, we believe. But when they congregate secretly with their devils, they say, we are indeed with thee. We were just playing around. God shall expose their mockery, and as they wander aimlessly about, he shall exasperate them in their excessiveness. These are the ones who hath bartered for air with guidance, but they hath not profited in their exchange, and they are not among those rightly guided. Their likeness is the likeness of one who hath kindled a fire, and as it illuminated what was around it, God extinguished their light and left them in darkness, so that they cannot see. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they will not return. Or, like the cloud from heaven, which hath shades of darkness, with thunder and lightning, they plug their fingers into their ears, fearing death from the explosions of thunder. The lightning nearly snatcheth away their vision. Whenever it shineth for them, they move within it, but when it darkeneth around them, they stand still. If God willed, he could indeed take away their hearing and their vision, for God is capable of all things. Quran Surah 2, verses 8 through 20. And in this, the first 3 days of the Quran briefly describe the 3 emblematic dispositions of the human being. The faithful archetype that believes in the present message, the previous message, and has no doubts about the future. This is overlaid upon the believer as the name of God. He who is, he who was, and he who shall be. The disbeliever, the one who opposes the revelation of God, doubts it and denies it flat out without hesitation, is the second type of human. Then this third type, the hypocrite. And here the hypocrite is exposed, and the hypocrite is described in more detail than either of the faithful devotee or the opposer. The hypocrite is portrayed as strutting through the land, telling everyone what they want to hear, and scheming with their devilish cohorts in order to gain ascendancy over others involved in whatever situation they are involved with. In a general way, these 3 descriptions are true of all of us. Being either trustworthy, involved and cooperative, or doubtful, isolated, and manipulative. These attributes swirl around the earth like the wind, and are represented in the Bible in the same way, through both peaceful and menacing acts of nature. So just as in nature, where the water cycle and the land both wreak havoc and alleviate one another, so also do the natural dispositions of souls create weather patterns on the earth of souls. And verse 11, God saith, let the earth produce grass, the herb yielding seed, the seed of the tree yielding fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And so it was. So once again, God speaks twice on this day. And here, the second time he speaks, he commands the earth to produce three things: grass, herbs yielding seeds, and trees yielding fruit and seed. This is the produce of the land, the outgrowth, the crop, and the harvest. To gain from the land takes planning, community, preparation, and action. And these are examples of knowledge, education, and increase. Some verses here about grass. And grass is a part of the earth that appears and is variously adorned, but fades rather quickly.
The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of the Lord bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our God shall stand forever. Isaiah 46 through 8.
Grass is compared to people, to humanity, and to a fleeting lifetime. My heart is smitten and withered like grass, so that I forget to eat my bread. Psalm 104, verse 4.
As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourisheth. Psalm 103:15.
Herbs are sweet, spicy, and flavorful, and bring grace to the land and the belly, and cheer the heart through fragrances, drawing everyone together to the source.
For the earth which drinketh in the rain that cometh oft upon it, and bringeth forth herbs meet for them by whom it is dressed, receiveth blessing from God. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Hebrews 6, 7 through 8.
The fresh waters and rains are likened to the word of God, which bring forth the herbs and grasses and grains of the earth. On the previous day, the waters were divided and raised up into the firmament as clouds, indeed as witnesses. On this day, they rain down as the word of God.
And Moses spake in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song until they were ended. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. He is the rock, his work is perfect. For all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he. Deuteronomy 31:30 to 32:4.
The blessed creation of this day truly is the tree and its fruit.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Psalm 1:1-6.
The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. Proverbs 11:30.
A wholesome tongue is a tree of life. Proverbs 15:4.
The best of all trees is the tree of life, the word of God, which bestows delightful fruits in all seasons. In verse 12, so the earth produceth grass, the herb yieldeth seed according to its kind, and the tree yieldeth fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God seeth that as virtuous. So in this verse we have the production, the produce of the earth. And in Psalm 104, we have somewhat of an overview of the entire process. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment. Day 1. The light is covering God, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariots, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Thou coverest it with the deep as with a garment. So from day 1, the face of the deep was the earth, covered over with the waters. And he saw it through the abyss. That face of the deep was the earth, and the face of the waters is above, on the surface. The waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, and they go down by the valleys into the place which thou hast founded for them. So on day 2 he split the waters. At his rebuke they fled. And what went above was clouds, and more water went above, and less water below, and the mountains appeared. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. He sendeth the springs into the valleys, which run among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heavens have their habitation, which sing among the branches. He watereth the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle, and the herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. The trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he hath planted, where the birds make their nest. As for the stork, the fir trees are her house. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. And here we have the whole process laid out in this verse. In the verses of the psalm. And the splitting of the waters, the clouds, the pools of fresh water forming, and the vegetation growing. Here we introduce the prophetic meaning of the third day, this third letter from the book of Revelation. In the previous 2 days, we reviewed the first and second letters. The first one was relevant to Adam, the paradise of God, and the tree of life. And the second day was relevant to Noah and the baptism, being saved through the waters. And here is introduced the children of Israel in this letter.
And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, These things saith he which hath the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and I will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. Revelation 2:12-17.
The third station of the tabernacle, the temple, was the table of showbread. And the table of showbread held 12 loaves of bread. One for each of the tribes. And that ties into this letter and into this third place in this scheme. And some of the meaning of the bread is knowledge, and scriptural knowledge. And it's harvesting the land and producing the land and gaining knowledge and wisdom and study, training, and mastery. And this requires students and the people of grass. And so we have teachers and workers, and all the earth provides the place of establishment and inheritance, which is the model of prophecy. And it is the platform of transformation through which the wise utilize to adapt wisdom and perpetuate communication. With the appearance of the land, the first three forms of creation are completed: the light, the heavens, and the earth. The spirit, the soul, and the body of the universal construct. From these, all limited forms appear and persist. At each day there have also been shades of meaning particular to the individual social construct. On day 1, we had the children of the day and the children of the night. On day 2, the clouds above the firmament became witnesses, whereas below the dwellers in the abyss dwell in prison.
He is the one who hath expanded the earth and placed unshakable mountains and rivers upon it, and for every fruit hath he made a matching pair within. He causeth the night to drape over the day, and that is truly a sign for the people who reflect.
And throughout the earth are adjacent territories with gardens of vines, crops, and date palms, and other dissimilar trees, but watered from the same water. Yet we hath made some better than others in taste, and that is truly a sign for the people who rationalize. Quran, Surah 13, verses 3 and 4. On day 3, the natural substance is stability, gain, and produce, which correlates to study, training, and mastery. So day 3 presents students, teachers, and alumni to the social construct, which adds activity to the whole, and a body ready to serve. The mystics find a way to preserve their crop in finely ornated, sealed bottles.
The devout shall truly be blessed upon thrones looking about. Thou shalt see the radiance of blessedness upon their faces. They shall drink from the sealed wine whose seal is musk. For that let those aspire who have aspirations. It shall be mixed with tasneem, a spring from which the near ones shall drink. Quran, Surah 83, 22 through 28.
The correlating verses to the third day concept of the Kitabi Aqdas continue the illumination of the laws of God.
Say, from my laws the sweet-smelling savor of my garment can be smelled, and by their aid the standards of victory will be planted upon the highest peaks. The tongue of my power hath, from the heaven of my omnipotent glory, addressed to my creation these words: Observe my commandments for the love of my beauty. Happy is the lover that hath inhaled the divine fragrance of his best beloved from these words, laden with the perfume of a grace which no tongue can describe. By my life, he who hath drunk the choice wine of fairness from the hands of my bountiful favor will circle around my commandments that shine above the dayspring of my creation. Think not that we have revealed unto you a mere code of laws. Nay, rather, we have unsealed the choice wine with the fingers of might and power. To this beareth witness that which the pen of revelation hath revealed. Meditate upon this, O men of insight. Kitabi Aqdas 4 through 5.
The ultimate produce is the grapevine to make pure wine. Only through the process of this water refinement that we see in the water cycle and the formation of the land and the vegetation can this wine be made. The tablet of the branch, declaring Abdul-Baha to be the center of the covenant, also parallels the creation scheme. The ocean of pre-existence branches off into another body of water, and we are instructed to gather round under the tree around that body of water near its shores. And that tree is Abdul-Baha. When the ocean of my presence hath ebbed, and the book of my revelation is ended, turn your faces towards him whom God hath purposed, who hath branched from this ancient root.
Enter, O people, beneath the shelter of the word. Then drink therefrom the choice wine of inner significances and utterances, for therein is hidden the Kauthar of the glorious one, and it hath appeared from the horizon of the will of your Lord, the merciful, with wonderful lights. Say, verily, the ocean of preexistence hath branched forth from this most great ocean. Blessed, therefore, is he who abides upon its shores, and is of those who are established thereon. Verily, this most sacred temple of Abha, the branch of holiness, hath branched forth from
the Sadratul Muntaha.
Blessed is whosoever sought shelter beneath it, and is of those who rest therein. Say, verily, the branch of command hath sprung forth from this root, which God hath firmly planted in the ground of the will, the limb of which has been elevated to a station which encompasses all existence. Therefore exalted be he for this creation, the lofty, the blessed, the inaccessible, the mighty. O ye people, draw nigh unto it, and taste the fruits of its knowledge and wisdom on the part of the mighty, the knowing one. Whosoever will not taste thereof shall be deprived of the bounty, even though he hath partaken of all that is in the earth, were ye of those who know. Baha'u'llah.
Here is our chart for day 3, following the paradigms, the various meanings. They're following some of the growth, the change of the land, the introduction of the land. The land provides a scene for transformation and a place for promise of inheritance. So there's preparation and attainment, wisdom, adaptation, utilization of the produce, and the miracle of turning the water into wine is understood through this full process of the water cycle and the creation of the earth. And it was the 3rd day. There was a marriage in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Jesus was there, and both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus saith unto him, They have no wine. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And therefore were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus saith unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he saith unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. And when the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew. The governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and saith unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. and it is the evening, and it is the morning of the third day.